welcome to another episode of Aligned. Erin here, and I'm so excited to introduce you all to today's guest, a friend, client, collaborator, Nami. And she is an incredible empowerment photographer and educator, amongst other things. And her story is one of true alignment. Otherwise, she would not be here on this podcast. But as you know, things are, the way that we met was super synchronistic. And again, it was just like this divine angel plopping her onto my path. And I ended up having a photo shoot with her while I was in Portugal, right before I left back in February. And she was also kind of new to Portugal, spending some time there, feeling it out, as was I. And it was so special to get to watch her in her element and just see how passionate and on purpose she is. And of course, it made for such an incredible photo shoot. The photos, I've never had someone who I felt captured my essence so cleanly and simply, and again, it was just amazing. I talk about that a bit more during the episode. But following that, we did a human design reading, which just made everything even more special because once I, of course, saw her design, which most of it I had already anticipated, it was just so clear that she is on her path. And it wasn't always that way. As a 3-5 emotional generator, the 3-5, it's all about trial and error. It's always about experience. It's about finding what's meant for you by first really getting stuck in what's not meant for you. And she shares her journey of being in a job, a 9 to 5 that depleted her, experiencing extreme sort of like burnout, exhaustion, and how she basically had to burn her old life to the ground in order to make space for this creative calling that she had. And she had to take a huge risk. She took a leap of faith. She quit her job and just dove headfirst into her photography, which was previous to that, just a passion, a side gig. And now, she built a 6-figure business. She educates other photographers on how to get started and how to make their businesses profitable and something that they can kind of have sustain them full time. And it's so inspiring, again, to be able to see more and more women, men, anyone really, just walking the path of authenticity. Our world needs it more than ever. It's the only thing we need really at this point in time, and everybody is craving it and yearning for it. And so it's so special to be able to introduce and expand for all of our listeners. Just introduce you to other people and their stories and how they got there, not so that you can, again, follow their exact way or follow the steps that they took, but to see that they went and found their steps. And now it's time for you to find yours as well. So again, I could keep talking, but I will let this episode speak for itself. And again, Nami's incredible story. So enjoy.
Yes, we're heading back to New Zealand. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be leaving Portugal. We're going to go to Ireland for a week just to, say bye to family and that. And then we're going to head back to New Zealand for a little while. We're not too sure for how long, but it feels like it's the right decision to make for where we are in life at the moment anyway.
Totally. Well, I started recording because I always love to just kind of like jump on in as we're catching up. But thank you for being here, and it's so nice to see you again.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Honestly, it was such an obvious decision to like invite you onto this podcast because again, and I don't know how much you know about Aligned and what we do, but we're all about empowering people to
Mm,
find that like alignment with themselves, right? To
mm,
find that inner compass. And you've obviously had the pleasure of having a human design reading with me. And so human design is just such a natural way or like roadmap to kind of get
yeah.
there. And so we use this podcast as a way to highlight what that looks like for people who are actually walking the walk. And I remember when I did your reading, for me, it was just really beautiful because I got the opportunity of working with you first. So I got to see you in your element. I got to see you like in your
Mm,
sacral passion, in your creativity. And then I also got to see, how you show up online, which for me was just like the icing on the cake because having then seen your mechanics, I was like, wow, this is a woman who is so on purpose and
mm,
has really her found her thing, like found her presence, found her way of being herself. And I think that's what so many people are searching for right now and so many people are craving.
yeah.
um and again, using this podcast not to say like your way of doing things is going to be the same as everyone else, but it
Mm,
can be an empowering way to see that what's required kind of to create that life of alignment. So I would love, yeah, to just introduce you and hear a little bit about what it is you do, right? Who
mm,
you are, what it is that you do now, and then more importantly, how you actually got there.
yay. Okay, so hi everyone. Thank you so much, Erin, again for having me on here. It's an honor. My name is Nami. I am a woman's portrait photographer. I've been actually a photographer for over 16 years, but in the past 6 years, I really decided to follow that inner whisper that I had to just focus on photographing women. So it wasn't really a thing when I started, and particularly in New Zealand, it was like not something you really do to make money. Like photography was really traditionally maybe wedding photographers, graduation photographer, family photographers. That was kind of like the only thing that was really out there. But I did all of those things, but never really felt full fulfillment doing those things. But I always enjoyed taking photos of women. I, from a young age, always said to my mom and to everyone that knows me, like, every woman is beautiful. And my mom sometimes was like, every woman? Like, are you sure? Like, I guess maybe having more of a traditional view of looking at what's beautiful and what not, maybe in a more conditioned way. But I was like, no, look at her, like the way, I don't know, she has those little freckles on her nose, or one eye is a different color to the other. I was always someone that noticed those things. And in 2019, I was going through a really, really dark time. Like I was going through a messy divorce. I lost my house. I lost my dogs. And the only stable that I had was really my 9 to 5 job that I hated. I was stuck behind a screen and was doing things that were really not meaningful to me. And the only joy I really got was when I was creating with my girlfriends. And then honestly, I was just like, I'm gonna save up enough money that I'm gonna survive for 3 months. My life is already an absolute mess. And what else could go wrong? So I basically left the only constant I had left in my life, which was the 9 to 5. And I remember everyone around me was really thinking I lost my mind, which is kind of understandable. Like going through a divorce at like 30, living on the other side of the world. I was born in Germany. My mom is Japanese. However, I was living in New Zealand. I didn't have family there. They were like, Nami, what are you doing? Like, why are you leaving your 9 to 5? And I was just like, I'm sick of it. Like, I feel so not on purpose with this work. I feel so bored and I feel so tired, but a tiredness that can't be cured by sleeping. I felt like my creative energy was just so stagnant. But every time I was with my girlfriends and I was creating, I was very much in my joyful place. So I did my first goddess shoot. So I founded my photo shoot experiences, which I call the goddess shoot experience. I did my first original goddess shoot experience with a sister of a friend of mine who really wanted some new branding photos. She is also a healer and a massage therapist. So she wanted some new photos for her social media, for her website. And I took her photos. And I remember her looking at those photos that we took, and she started just like crying. And I just started like crying. And we were just like having this moment where it just literally felt like, okay, something bigger is channeling through me when I'm doing this work. I can't really explain it, but I really felt like this is what I'm meant to do. Like, I feel this is so natural. This comes so easy, so joyful, so powerful to me that it's not even hard for me to capture that goddess essence that I know lives in every woman. Like, it's just a matter of bringing that out, because sometimes in life we forget, that we are goddesses ourselves. And I feel like through the medium of photography that I use to get that out of a woman, I just experienced so much joy doing it. And then literally within 2 years, I doubled my income. I was able to build a 6-figure photography business and became the industry leader in empowering photo shoot experiences in Australasia. And yeah, just continue to do the work now as well. And in the last 6 years, I was able to empower over 1,000 women. And I'm just continuing to do this work. Now I've been traveling full time with my family for 12 months, and we stopped in Japan. I did some shoots there. Then we went to Indonesia. I did some shoots there, in Ireland, in Germany. Now in Portugal, I was able to do, some of my work. So that's very, very exciting and very much what I envisioned, what I wanted to do with my work, like travel the world and empower women everywhere I go with photography, is just something I always wanted to do. And I am kind of now doing. So that's very, very exciting.
Oh, I love that so much. And it is such an incredible testament because as a generator, right? And a lot of our audience are generators or manifesting generators, right? To be able to see that contrast of what you've done, what you've created, like this light that you are in this industry and just in the world, but like it wasn't always like that. And I think that so many people, right? We live in a world that doesn't always give us the freedom to just right off the bat go and pursue the things that we're passionate about. And also for a lot of us as well, it takes time to figure that out, right? And in
Yes.
the figuring out, we make decisions from our mind, we do the thing that's expected of us, and then we kind of get ourselves into the rut. But I always believe it's like in the darkness, we actually find light. Um,
100%.
but as you said, like that fatigue that you are experiencing, that tiredness that cannot be soothed just through sleep is like such a clear um, sign, right? That something is wrong because you're a generator, right? And that's the magic of being a generator, is having an abundant amount of creative life force energy. But what a lot of people don't understand is that that energy, like that life force energy and creative energy, are one and the same. So if you don't have the space in your life to nurture your creativity, if you don't have the space in your life to take that life force energy and pour it into those things that give you that feeling that you had with your girlfriends of just being so present in the moment, engaged, right? It's as if that that energy's empty, right? It's
Yeah.
there, but it's not really there. And it really requires like massive recalibration and big, scary decisions sometimes, letting go of security, letting go of expectations so that you can create the space for that energy to come back online and like come back to life. And
Yeah.
then once it does, it's like, boom, everything can change. And it can change so fast where you're almost like,
Yes.
I can't keep up with all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
100%. And I agree with that so much. And I think, Erin, what I found really helpful with our reading as well is to I mean, sometimes in life we have to say yes to things that not like gonna light our entire being up, right? Like, especially I think being a mom as well, that comes with responsibility. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and say that I love every aspect of, just being a mom. But sometimes, like when it comes to particularly decision making, based on my photography business, I am really learning to lean more into, is it a whole body yes? Or isn't it? Am I just doing it to maybe please someone? Am I just doing this because I feel like it's going to give me recognition? But is it actually the recognition I want? Because then it drains my energy. If it's not actually coming from an aligned place and from a place that is also in alignment with my values and in alignment with, my mission, then I just feel drained. And I'm like, I was just at a photo shoot and I should be full of creative energy, but maybe it was just not in alignment with whether, the brand I'm working with wasn't maybe in alignment, maybe the clients I had. And I think it really comes back to knowing your why. I think that's a really big one, and really sitting with the decision as well. Like, I'm someone sometimes when I'm especially in a high point, I'm like, yeah, I say yes to everything. And then I overdo it, I overcommit. And then at the end of the day, I'm still kind of like, oh my God, I'm doing creative things, but why am I still tired? So I think that was really, really helpful for me to,
Yeah.
just reflect on and realize, oh, okay, I'm allowed to say no. I'm allowed to go away and take 48 hours to think about something instead of making a
Yeah.
decision then and there.
Yeah, exactly. It's riding out that emotional wave and learning how to slow down because again, sometimes your energy, like if you're on a high, you can't discern the difference between like,
Mhm.
is this my sacral telling me I'm available for this? Or am I just riding this emotional high, right?
Yeah.
And I think you put it really eloquently in that it's like your energy is kind of it's it's communicating with you very clearly so that you know after a shoot, if you're feeling completely drained, you can look back and say, okay, I can see maybe, again, I went into it with the wrong reasons, or I should have waited a little bit longer before committing, or there's something out of alignment with like the brand or who I'm working with. Whereas the difference is, and I've seen this from you like online too, it's like you'll do a shoot and already be so excited to get in editing it and like putting it
Mhm.
out there, and your turnaround can be really fast when it's in alignment, right?
I agree. I
Yeah.
completely agree. And I think that's also something like, changing locations so much in the past 12 months and reestablishing yourself as a brand over and over in places where people have no idea who you are. You tend to maybe make yourself a little bit smaller, or you might tend to say yes to things that are not in complete in alignment because you also maybe come from a place of scarcity where you're wondering, oh, but I need to reestablish myself here. People don't know me, so I'm going to say yes to every opportunity that comes. But I think, especially as a generator, you have to, also be able to sit back and be like, okay, Nami, you can chill. Good things also can take a little bit of time. You don't have to just say yes to everything,
Yeah.
because you're maybe worried that you're not going to book clients and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's knowing your body, and it also takes time, right? It's through that process of like slowing down and sitting with the sensations in your body and reflecting, and also I think a great catalyst for learning what is aligned for us is learning what isn't, right? So making some of those decisions too quickly, but knowing then and being able to retroactively look and say, okay, my body's feeling this way. And I can look back and I can connect certain dots and see why I and how I got there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what would you say? Because again, I often am meeting with clients when they are in those big transition points where maybe they're
Mhm.
still in that job, right? But they know there's something more for them. They're anticipating some kind of change, but they don't know exactly how to walk through that. Based on your experience,
Mhm.
how were you able to, or were there certain yeah, how are you able to walk away and like make those big scary decisions that your soul knew was right for you, but maybe the world around you wasn't in full support
Mhm.
of?
Yeah, Erin, I think that's a really good question. And I think about that sometimes because, I'm also a photography educator and I teach my students photography now. And they're like, but how do I know when I can make the transition, like to go from my 9 to 5 job that I don't like to now go into full-time photography? And I think what really helped me, I'm not saying go through a divorce, like hell no, I don't recommend that to anyone. But when your life is already a little bit of a mess and you're like rock bottom in a sense, that you kind of like become a little bit not ruthless, but you're like, okay, come on then. What else can you go? Like, test me, life. Come on, life, test me. And for me, it was almost like a bit of a reckless decision. So I don't recommend my students to do that. But what really helped me is to look at it from also a rational place. So it's really good. And I love following my emotions. I think that's really, really healthy, being aware of that. But people that really want to transition from a 9 to 5 job to a more creative endeavor, it can be really scary, right? So I like to go with a walking backwards exercise, which kind of helps your clients or my students to look at where are they right now and where do they want to be, let's say, in a few years. And what aligned actions can they take today that might be like a micro step they can take towards their goals? But a lot of us don't even sit down and write down our goals, maybe because we are fearful that we're never going to achieve them, or maybe it's not really something we learn in school either, right? So it's not really tools that are given to us even though they're available more and more freely online, it's literally sitting with what do you actually want in life? And I think that is the step number one. Like, what do I want my life to look like? Do I want it to look like everyone around me because I'm with the same friends from the past 10 years, but I still don't feel like I fit in? But have you actually taken time to look at what you want your life to look at? So I think that's step one. And then step two is taking aligned actions every day. For me, what I did really practically was I saved enough money that I could survive for 3 months. So I didn't had to make a single cent of my photography business to be able to live for 3 months. And that just gave me a sense of security going on your own, like becoming a full-time creative. And that kind of taken away kind of like the worry of having to make money, having to perform, having to take on jobs that you don't really like, is having that 3 months kind of like backup that I had at the time. So with the walking backwards exercise, what I tell them to do is basically write down how much money you need to save or how much money you need to see in your bank account. Write that number down, sign it, and put it on your fridge. Because I want you to commit to this. Because it's easy for us to do once we have this money in our bank account. Oh, actually, oh, I'm getting like cold feet again. Maybe I
Yeah.
always want to treat myself to a holiday, so maybe I do that instead. But you're making a commitment with yourself to sign that and put it somewhere where you see it. I think that's what I recommend my students to do. And that's maybe what I would recommend anyone to do that is kind of like in like a bit of a transition place where they want to step into that next level, but they are afraid because that's all part of it, right? Like I feel like
Yeah.
feeling afraid is part of it. And yeah,
Yeah.
trying to move through it with some practical tools, I think gives you like a little bit of, I don't know, like a backbone almost like on
I
that journey.
totally agree. And I think my experience is very, very similar to yours in that sense, where I also hit sort of just that rock bottom in my corporate career. And just, again, I was still young enough where it's like, I didn't have commitments. I didn't have, you know, apartment, a long-term lease on an apartment. I didn't have a partner. Like, and I hit a
Yeah.
point where I was like, I'm all that I've got. And I
Yes.
cannot waste any more time living this life that just feels like pretend, like I'm pretending. And maybe this life would be a dream for somebody else, but it's
Yeah,
killing me. And I
exactly. It's
sat
pulling you
with
even
that.
more. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I sat with that also as someone with emotional authority, where it's like, I have to write it
Yes.
out. And I had the highs and I had the lows and I had the highs and I had the lows. And then coming to that just grounded knowing of like, this has to end. And I think the difference between me and you is I had no idea what I was even passionate about. I had no idea what it was that I wanted to do. But again, luckily, I had set myself up where I had funds, like as Lacey Phillips says, I know that you also did To Be Magnetic
Mhm.
and a lot of that kind of manifestation work, but like having a fuck you fund, a fund
Mhm.
that you know buys you some time. And I really needed time. And that was why I quit my corporate job, booked a one-way flight to Indonesia, and ended up living in Sri Lanka and Indonesia all throughout COVID for, yeah, many years. And I, again, needed that time to just like quiet all the noise from the world around
Yeah.
me and connect to myself. And the one thing I would add to your recommendation, or something that can basically supercharge that process, because I think you're spot on with those steps, human design.
Yes.
Because if you can then also use the mechanics of your energy to understand, how do I walk in an aligned way? How do I take that aligned action? Because sometimes it is a little bit more than just knowing where you want to go.
Yes.
There's a process of like, there's an easy route to get there and there's a hard route to get there. And I think human design can illuminate the easier route. And similarly, for anyone who doesn't know what they want to do or doesn't know what's next, like if you know, for example, that you're a generator, well, then what are those aligned steps going to be? It's going to be coming back to that sacral energy and
Mm.
starting to make micro adjustments to your life so that you are carving out more time to be creative, to have fun, to move your body in ways that feel good. Because only until that point will you then be able to start to see those little breadcrumbs and get those divine nudges and signs and synchronicities that almost just like
Yes.
help guide you toward whatever it is that's next for you.
Mm. Mm. Beautiful. I completely agree. And I think also another thing is not to be afraid to fail. Like, I think there's no such thing as failing. It's like trial and error. Like, life is just trial and error, right? In a
Yeah.
way. And it's just, okay, one thing didn't work out that I maybe thought would work out. Try again, you know? And I think
Yeah.
that is also a really good way of then finding out how you react as a human to trying those things out, right? Because I wouldn't have known what are aligned clients if I didn't have, like you said, unaligned clients before, you
Uh-huh.
know?
Yeah. And your third line too. That third line profile is trial and error. And we talked about this on
Yes.
your reading. And it's
Yes.
so funny because, yeah, like your life, the way you find what's right for you is by first bumping into what's wrong for you, right?
Yes.
Or like messing up. It's through the trial and error. And through that, also that I love as well, like as a teacher, I feel like you're such an embodied teacher because you are also, you're sharing from that experience. You're
Mm,
sharing from like, okay, yes, I've achieved and I've accomplished all of this, but how did I get there? Through digging myself through the mud and through also
mm.
learning the hard way. And you know what? That's also the beauty in this journey.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really beautiful to witness you and everything that you've created. And for anyone who's again a little bit deeper into human design, it's funny because so much of your energy is about influencing. It's like if we were to look at someone's design and say like this is someone who's here to influence, it would be you.
Mm,
And really seeing how infectious your energy is just as a byproduct of you being you. And again, you do it not by following other people's strategies or by having, you know, the perfect Instagram algorithm. Like you do it because you're being you. And I had a conversation with someone very recently about how the world, right, is changing so quickly.
mm.
And there's a huge shift coming from the human design lens. Like 2027 marks a really important pivotal shift in our collective. And what we're all being called to is coming back home to ourselves
Yes. I
and being
absolutely.
authentic within ourselves. And it's the only thing that's going to sell anymore. Right. And now social media, it's like it's starting to feel so icky and saturated for so many people, which again is good because it's forcing us to look at, okay, well, then how can I make this feel good? And the only way it's going to feel good again is just by being ourselves and doing it
I
our own
completely
way.
agree. I completely agree, Erin. And the amount of, I courses I invested in and mentorships I invested in and coaches I had, it's yes, they can teach you a strategy, but if the strategy doesn't have you as the red thread as the foundation, it's just gonna feel weird. It's just gonna energetically, people will just be able to pick that up. Like, I think we're becoming more and more conscious and more aware of stuff that you just got to become your own blueprint of what works for you online. And that is such a beautiful invitation for people to show up authentically online, which can be a little bit daunting and can be a little bit like, oh my God, if I'm doing something completely different, people might judge me. Um, but that's the only way I think forward for people to really stand out and be successful, because people are a little bit over just seeing same cookie cutter. And I also noticed it from my marketing. Like, yes, I can apply, some things that I'm learning, understanding about new changes in the algorithm. But the stuff that really works the best is when I speak from my heart, when I show up authentically, when I actually talk about stuff that happened in my life rather than use these keywords to get someone's attention, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. So this question will be a little bit of like a direction change, but I would love to hear, as a young mother, like a mother of how old's your daughter?
Oh, I love that you call me young. Thanks, Erin. I'm 37.
Yeah, 37 years young.
37 years young. My daughter, she is 3.
Yeah. And so how has that for you, like that transition into motherhood? And again, staying connected to yourself while embodying this new role. And again, having so much responsibility, beautiful responsibility. But how do you stay connected to yourself and your creativity and still find ways to like nourish and replenish your energy throughout? Yeah,
Yes.
that huge transition.
Yeah. I think for me as a mom to show up as my best self, I need my creative outlet. I need to go out and do photo shoots and be in nature and barefoot and just jump around in the ocean and connect with other women. I need that. And for myself, I know if I am happy and fulfilled and my cup is full, I can also be a more present mom. And I am not the kind of person, and everyone is very different, but I kind of know what my needs are. And if they are met, then I can just show up as a mom. And my needs are not just being 24/7 just in the mother role. Like, I need some other things in my life to also make me feel fulfilled. But overall, I want my daughter to grow up very much seeing her mother following her passion, following her joy, following her creative ventures, because my daughter is going to pick that up. She's going to see that mama followed her joy, and therefore she's allowed to follow her joy as well. And I love being a mother to a daughter. I find it such an honor to raise a brave queen. I'm all about empowering women. Like, that's like my
Yeah.
my mission underlying everything I do and everything I touch. I'm so big on empowering women, um, that I really feel like she's going to grow up to be such an empowered woman. And I think that it excites me so much. Like, I always show her photos that I've taken. She loves me taking photos of her. She always wants to come to photo shoots now. So for me, it's just like, it's such an honor for me to follow my creative joy and to show my daughter that I'm not doing work that I don't like. I'm actually doing work that is requires a lot from me sometimes, especially, sometimes you have some months where bookings are freaking shit, and then you like consider maybe going back to a 9 to 5. But I'm still finding new ways every time to continue my life as a photographer. So for myself, it is just so cool for her in a way, like to have a mom that, is creative and is doing what fills her with joy, because I think it's the best way to teach your daughter to do the same when she grows up. So I think
Yeah.
motherhood the first year was like, I don't know, I think a lot of moms say that, especially with the first one, it's like a massive rebirth for yourself as well. And I think I really, really struggled giving birth during COVID, being so far away from my family and not having that village around me. But I feel like now I'm out the other end, and I'm just really trying to follow my joy again, because they're sponges. They pick everything up, you know?
Yeah, it's so true. And I love how you put that. It's really about leading by example,
Yes,
right? And again, I
exactly.
look back at a lot of my upbringing, and I wish I had seen more of that around me. I
Mm,
wish I had seen adults who were making their own joy and creativity a priority instead of like the last thing on the list that they take care of, and often the thing that gets left off the list.
I know. And then there's a whole lot of guilt around it as well, you know? But
Yeah.
no, I completely agree. I completely agree.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much power within that. And again, and this is also what I love about the nature of your work as a photographer, but who's focusing on like women empowerment and these like
Mm,
goddess shoots, is those photo shoots, right? They're not about like, of course, the end goal is you're getting these incredible photos, but it's so much more than that too, right? It's like shifting something within these women so that they can feel more free within
oh,
themselves, so they can feel more
absolutely.
embodied, so they can see themselves as a goddess, right? Not just through a photo, but through an entire experience,
Experience, yeah.
so that they can continue to walk that path.
Honestly, yeah. It's some of the transformations I've seen because of the experiences that I create. It's just, I don't even have words for it. And I'm like, this should be like therapy. Like, I'm like, this
Yeah.
needs to actually get a stamp of approval that this is actually so transformational for some of the women that come to me. Like, I'm just blows my mind. Like, they literally, they flip their whole life upside down. It's almost like a vessel they enter for transformation, to actually say no to things that are no longer serving them. They're stepping outside of their comfort zone to be photographed. They're not models. They're everyday women. Um, it's a shedding of what's no longer serving, and it's a rebirth. Like, I think it's such a powerful thing. And the more I think about it, the I'm like, what the f am I actually doing? This is such a big responsibility. But it is something that I do soul led. It comes from my soul space, and I believe the women that come to me from a soul place as well. Like, it's always divine timing, it's always perfect timing. um and yeah, it's very, very powerful. It's not just a photo shoot. It's very much a transformation for them to unlock things within themselves, to unblock things that are no longer serving, and to really, yeah, step into that new version, or that, I shouldn't even say new version, because that version was always within themselves. But it's like a big remembering. It's like a, you know, a journey back to themselves, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think back to the session that I did with you, right? That's how we met, was doing a goddess shoot
Yeah.
of sorts in Ericeira. And I was at a point in my life where like I was transitioning out of a relationship that again like ended very lovingly and was very necessary. But you know, when you're kind of like, when you're holding on to something for longer than is good for you, it's like it dims your fire, it dims your magnetism. And so I was in this kind of dimmed space within myself for a while.
Mm,
And I remember thinking, like, for a few weeks before we ended up connecting, I was like, ooh, you know, it's time for some new photos. It's been a while since I've been behind the camera. I'm always shooting other people, again, not professionally, but it's just like my eye. I love like catching little like behind the scenes moments. And but I haven't had it turned on to me, right, in a while. And again, the way that you and I connected was also just so divinely synchronistic, right?
yes.
And for me, again, it wasn't about like, oh, I need new photos. Like I needed to be seen again after not feeling seen within myself in a relationship, all of that for a while. And that was such a catalyst because we did that photo shoot right as I was leaving Portugal, and leaving Portugal at that period of time was like, okay, stepping into the next level now. And like being able to capture that, like I will be able to look back at those photos and have it really concretize, like such an important time, right? Where I walked away from this more like lower vibrational place that I was in. And since then, right, a lot has changed in my life. A lot has shifted. And that was a part of that, right?
I completely agree. Like there's so much work we can do through energies, and so much work we can even do through energetically, I don't know, cutting like things that are no longer serving, like there's so many healers walking this earth right now, and we all have different modalities of how we use it. But I do really feel like if you are doing things intentional, no matter what business you are in, just it's just AI is never going to be able to replicate that, and I
That's
completely agree.
exactly it. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's so much more than just a photo shoot, and I think more and more people are starting to understand it, and women are shifting their mindset around it, that they have to look a certain way to do a photo shoot. They have to be only young, or they're only allowed to be celebrated when they're pregnant, for example, when they have a belly. But
Yeah.
I think it's truly shifting, that people are realizing, no, I can be celebrated right now, right in this moment, because I
Yeah.
want to.
Yes, that's exactly it. That's so it's about energy too. And again, I look back at our shoot, and again, it wasn't a time where I was feeling super vibrant, super magnetic. I knew it was coming though, and it's not like I was like, okay, I have to wait until I feel that way. I even look at my wardrobe. Like I came to Portugal in January and February, and I hadn't spent time in a cold weather place in probably 6 years. So it's like I didn't have clothes for the weather. And so like I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna make do with like the oversized jeans that I have. And like, cause it's not about the clothes. It's not about like
Yes.
makeup. It's not about hair. Like I rolled out of bed, threw clothes on, and was like, no, it's about me. It's about my energy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. And again, you can just feel like working with you was so easy. It felt so natural. I'm
Mm,
someone who used to be really, really awkward in front of a camera. I used to feel really uncomfortable. And, you know, I've moved away from that over the years, but it's like like in front of the wrong people, that's going to come back out again.
yes,
Um,
100%.
but there was none of
Mm,
that with you.
yay.
So I would love to hear like what's something that's like exciting you right now? Maybe something new, maybe some change, something you're working on. Like what's feeling like exciting and
Yeah.
new?
I think for myself at the moment, with moving back to New Zealand for a little while, I am very, very excited to reconnect with my really good relationships that I have there. I'm really looking forward to reconnecting with the land. New Zealand holds a lot of very sacred magic for me. Like a lot of, big things happened in my life. Like I met my partner there. I lived there for 17 years. I had Aiko there. My career really blossomed there. I think this country has a lot of magic, and I feel like my magic there hasn't quite come to an end yet. So I'm very, very excited to reconnect and feel grounded for a while, because traveling is wonderful and I love it. But also we've been on the road for over 12 months now, and it's just going to be nice to feel a little bit settled in a place again, and being able to just do workshops. I really, really have this vision to do lots of photography workshops where I teach other women the
Mm.
work that I do. I'm currently doing it online through my courses, but I really feel like connecting intimately with women wanting to understand more about the work that I do. Because again, it's not just about taking a photo. And I think I want to teach women so much more about the magic that they can actually create through their camera and through, the right tools, and how to connect with your clients even before a photo shoot. So they already feel like they know you, because it's all about connection, right? So I'm really feeling like I'm going to do some really, really exciting photography workshops while I'm there. Also one of my business partners, Leonie, she's over there. So I'm really, really excited to work on another business that I have with her, which is called the Female Sopreneurs, where we talk all about our entrepreneurship and our journey as, females in the entrepreneurial space, leading from a hard place. And I guess all the ups and downs that come with us. But I really, really see we've started our business while we were both on the other side of the world, and it's going really well. So I think when we get together, we just very powerful combination of getting stuff done and just like being fun. And I'm just looking forward for the fun. And, like for me, Erin, that this is like what I have to follow. And it took me a real long time to make this decision, because I really wanted to stay in Portugal this time around. But things just haven't been really aligning, and I needed to really listen and tune into what I want, because you also told me that I'm kind of the person that takes in a lot of information from other people, and I can make this information my own. So I need to go away and actually sit in quiet and be like, what do I really want? Like, what feels right for me? And not worry too much about how I'm going to maybe disappoint people because of that decision that I make. So going back to New Zealand feels like the right decision. So I'm really excited to connect with my friends over there, and also yeah, empowering some women in that part of the world. I've booked lots of clients already, which is really, really exciting. So yeah, I'm just really excited to settle, to have fun, and to teach more people about my work, so we can empower so many women through photography all over the world. Like, I think that is one of my missions in this lifetime, is to just empower as many women as I can. And even though I wish I could photograph every single woman in the world, I
Mhm.
can't. So I need to teach other
Yeah.
women about the work that I do, so we can have way more impact.
Yeah, I love that. And again, the way you have an impact is just through your influence. Like your incarnation cross, which is again like it's very tied to your purpose. And I mentioned this a little bit on your reading, but your cross is called the cross of contagion. And if you think about the word contagion, again, it
Mm,
sounds weird because we're like contagious, like a disease or whatever, but like contagion is it's infectious. Your
mm,
energy is infectious and you're here to infect people. What you infect them with is up to you. But like, as you've said and shared so beautifully, it's empowerment, right?
mm,
And it's really about empowering women to see the goddesses within
mm,
them. And I think you've done such an incredible job. I mean, think about the thousands of people you've touched, right?
mm.
Thousands upon thousands upon thousands. And that is the bright side of our online digital world is you're able to do that more effectively, right?
Yes,
But I
yes.
do love that you have these in-person experiences that you can be cultivating when you go back to New Zealand. I think there is now this pull, right? People are wanting to kind of step away a little bit more from these devices and be able to be guided and be supported in like a physical way, right? That's something we can't really replicate online. So
Absolutely.
that's super exciting. So how can people connect with you to learn more about what
Um,
you do?
so people can connect with me over Instagram if they want to. My Instagram handle is at nami.creative. So that's my photography page. And if they want to learn more about my photography education, it's just nami.creative.education on Instagram as well.
I'll add those to the show notes.
Thank you,
Well,
Erin.
thank you. I know your computer's about to die, so I will let you go, but it's been such a pleasure having you. I love this conversation. I'm so excited to introduce our community to you. And if there's any aspiring photographers or, yeah, people who are interested in being photographed and finding that goddess within them, well, they know exactly where to look.
Thank you so much for having me, Erin. It was a pleasure, and hopefully I see you very soon.
Yes.